And this is what we call our ideal strength curve. So this axis here would represent our units of strength. So let's assume in this scenario that our starting strength units is 100 units of strength. This axis here is our time under load. Again, we're shooting for that minute 30 to 2 minutes. So this line also represents the point at which we achieve that momentary muscular failure, where we render that muscle momentarily weakened or useless for that matter. So I'm going to draw you a couple of different curves and understand why the one we're looking for is the most ideal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw what walking looks like, okay? So if our units of strength starts off at 100 units, here's what walking looks like, okay? Very low intensity, and our goal is to really drive our strength down to this level here. And obviously walking is not going to do that, which is why we can do walking for an extended period of time, meaning hours on end. So that the next one I'm going to draw here would be a 3 set of 10 approach. So what we do here is through the exercise, we're getting weaker, and then we arbitrarily stop. So then we immediately start recovering. Our adenosine triphosphate will regenerate in split seconds. So we start to recover, and then we kind of get weaker again, maybe a little bit deeper than we were before, and then we continue that process. You know, note that a lot of times we never really push ourselves to momentary muscular failure. So I'm going to delete those here to not get everything confused. So I'm going to draw you now the ideal strength curve, the one that we are really shooting for, and it literally looks like this. Boom. All right, so our goal is through the course of repetitions to weaken that 100 units of strength literally down to 0. That's our goal. And our goal, once again, is to do that between a minute 30 to 2 minutes. So clearly there's a floor and there's a ceiling. So like I said before, if we're struggling to hit a minute 30, our weight is too heavy. And conversely, if we're exceeding that 2-minute mark, we are not lifting heavy enough weights. So then what happens next is that once we achieve the threshold or our finish line of our exercise at momentary muscular failure, what's going to happen next is that our body through the next 48 to 72 hours will begin to recover, okay? I'm going to move this here because it's in my way. We're going to the body's going to recover, assuming that we don't stimulate it too difficultly again. And what's going to happen is our body is going to then reestablish a new starting strength units of, say, 110, for example. And then we repeat the process of stimulating to momentary muscular failure. So here's the problem. What overtraining looks like is if we begin to overtrain and we're somewhere in this recovery phase during 48 to 72 hours where we work out too difficult. Let's say we're right here and we're at 24 hours and we work out too hard again. Here's what happens. Boom. And then what we never do, unfortunately, is achieve this overcompensation phase where the body rebuilds itself stronger. So it's very important to recharge those batteries and let your body adapt to the stimulus. So hopefully this makes sense and we understand really the idea of what we're trying to accomplish, which is momentary muscular failure. Now, don't get me wrong. All of this area in here, we're going to kind of call work, and understand that work can fatigue you, work can make you sweat, work can make you out of breath, but work may or may not be sufficient enough to achieve this point right here, our magic point of momentary muscular failure. So just because we're sweating and just because we're fatigued and just because our heart rate elevates does not necessarily mean that we are producing a proper stimulus. So again, really think about when you are performing an exercise, whether that be a leg press, whether that be something with dumbbells, kettlebells, resistance bands, that you are really striving to achieve momentary muscular failure by making every single little inch of your movement work hard for you. Think about working hard enough that you can't do it a long time. We don't want to hold back at all. So again, if you have any questions whatsoever about the relationships between volume, frequency, intensity, please don't hesitate to contact your coach, myself. We'd love to make sure that you, as our client, sees the finish line as clearly as we do and understand why you're doing what you're doing and what the cause effect is in proper strength training. So again, good luck as you're going through your fitness journey, and feel free to ask us questions anytime. Have a great day.